Welcome back to the Multifab YouTube channel. Hope you've all had a good week. Thanks everyone for the birthday wishes this week, much appreciated. Thank you all. Overwhelming response to the merchandise, the shirts and hoodies. That's been crazy. So everything's getting printed now. I'm pretty sure that what I got printed is gonna be sold out in pre-sales. It's not sold out yet, but it's gonna go pretty close, I'd say. I think the so get in quick while you can and keep on buying. So www.motorfab.com. The link's always in the description. So get on that, get your hoodie, get your shirt, while stocks last. The Monaro, the bends have run out, the pipes are happening, you'll see that. The heads are getting repaired up at Doug Day's at RLC Engine Reconditioning, Capella Bar. You'll hear more about that as we get closer. I've got an order in with the good folk at VPW for the rest of the parts for the engine, the short motor. So once that order arrives, that Monaro engine is going to go together and you're going to see some magic. Let's hope so. Let's hope we don't see a whole heap of pistons and stuff in the sump, but we'll see how we go. Should be all right. We'll make it happen. A bit of tuning this episode as well. I went through last week the fuel system in bump in and the hardware side of it. So this week I've gone through the software and electronic side of it as to how I control that and why I do things the way I do it and all that sort of stuff. Also, you'll see there's a lot about plug reading and stuff and that's why I've tried to design the pipes on the Monaro around ease of getting at the plugs as best I can, because it really is important to be able to read those plugs when you're leaning on stuff, when you're pushing that tune, and it's easy to say you won't, but you end up doing it. I still try to run really conservative on my tunes, like I'll explain later. I've never torched a head or blown a head gasket out even on any of my tunes, but not to say it can't happen, so touch wood, I haven't yet, but I try to be conservative and not lean on stuff too much. But doing what I'm intending on doing to that 454 with a stock bottom end, it is going to be leaning on those particular parts, so it needs every bit of help it can get to survive. So the tune's got to be right. So to the tune to be right with that nitro setup, without EGTs, we need to be able to read the plugs relatively easy. So we've got to try to make the pipes, which are already tight in the circumstance of a big block in that car, but we've got to try to make them so I can read them. But that's me rambling on. You'll see more of that later. Your discount for VPW, it's MotorFab. I've been through it. I'll put it up here again anyway. MotorFab's a discount. Heaps of people have been using it. So, yeah, give yourselves a pat on the back, guys. Good on you. Lots of people using up that discount. You've got till June 21. So, get in and make the most of that discount while you can. And June 21, it's over. Discount's up. So, get in now, get it while you can. And I will start working with the good guys at VPW and see what's next, see where we go from here. They've been really good supporters of the Monaro, so yeah, they're a good company to work with. So it was actually quite enjoyable. Last couple of nights ago, I went on their website and sat down and did my order, and got up my part numbers and stuff from off their website, and it was really easy to find everything. They had everything that I needed. It was a pleasurable experience shopping on their website, which is here. There you go. So get on it, enjoy that discount while it lasts, and enjoy this episode. I think we're, for our total views across all the videos, we've gone well over 100,000 views. So I'm absolutely blown away by that. Really appreciate the response I've had. I'll get a bit nervous talking about it, but thank you guys. I really do appreciate you getting behind what I'm doing here. But yeah, it's so many views and not that many subscribers in relation. We sort of get between 5,000 and 14,000 views per video. We were only at 2,600 subscribers, so you guys mustn't be clicking the button. So please click the subscribe button. Just the reason for me to do that is as the subscriber count goes up, I know that you're enjoying the content, and I know that I'm going the right direction to give you a pleasing episode or channel to watch. So if you could click the subscribe button, please do. It really helps me out. So thanks guys, enjoy the episode. See you next week. Like and subscribe. So this was our box of bends that's now empty, so that means I've made some progress with the pipes. Unfortunately I didn't order enough bends, and I've still got one cylinder to go on this side and two on the difficult side. You'll all say I copped out and jumped off the difficult side I showed you last week to do the easy side, which I did, but I only did that because I don't have a starter motor yet, and I need the starter motor in this area here so I can make the pipes around it, and I'm being a tight ass trying to find a second-hand starter motor on Gumtree or Marketplace. So that's that side. So this one here, she's all in, so I had to chop into some old stock that I've got in tubes, so it's a bit of rusty tube. There's a collector. You can see we're up really high. I'm really happy with the height. I've just got the clamped up because we did that cross. Remember the way I did it? The big 2-inch primary into 3.5-inch collectors fit up nice, actually higher than the gearbox, so they'll never have a problem with them dragging out. So you can see up there, bit of spaghetti happening. Trying to get far enough away so you can see. So yeah, so I'm pretty happy with the way the pipe's coming along. I've got to order some more bends because I've run out and I didn't have enough to finish. So, and get a starter so I can finish the pipes next week. So there's the pipes at the top. Also on this video, I'm going to go through a bit of tuning stuff with the fuel tuning. So that's why this is quite important. I've got the socket up here. This car's not going to have EGTs. I've got an old air fuel data logger which will log the wideband, but no EGT. So with nitrous particularly, the way we're going to make sure it's safe and tune it and hopefully have as much reliable success as what I've had with the Ute, I'm going to be checking plugs all the time. Now, that can be a nightmare with a big block. It can be a nightmare with any V8 engine really. So I've actually set, well that one, there's no pipe there yet, but I've set all these so that the socket can get easily on every single plug and get the plug out with ease. There is one problem plug on the other side. So I'm up on the ladder so I don't have to bring the hoist up and down. And that one goes in there nice and easy too. So there's one problem plug on the other side, but it's not because of the pipe, it's because of the steering box. I'll need a special tool. I'm going to have to cut an old plug spanner down to get that one out. But for the majority of it, it's going to be really easy for me to pull plugs out of this car so we can make a pass, pull the plug, check what the plug says is happening inside the cylinder, and see if we're making power safely or dangerously out of control and going to melt everything down. Making this sort of power that I'm going to try to make on the budget bottom end that I've got, I really need to be careful with the tune-up. This old prehistoric thing on the top, a carburetor, doesn't allow for that to be as easy as our late model fuel injection stuff, but we can try to tune off the plugs and be as safe as we can. So there you go, there's our pipes. Next week I'll have the bends here and I'll be able to finish those pipes off, and yeah, the car's getting there. I'll climb down and we'll go through the other bits and pieces that are happening. Righto, so I showed you guys last week in the video through the fuel system on my Ute, where we went through the hardware side of it, the fuel injectors, the rails, the belt driven pump, the injectors in the intake, So this week I'm going to show you guys what we're doing with that and what we're controlling and why we're looking for what we're looking for. So this is the data log from Jamboree Q1. The car went 7.88 at 171. It was a straight off the trailer pass, so it was just a lazy pass. So I made a few changes to the car. I didn't want to do too much. We'll zoom in on this section. This is the pass, obviously. So we'll zoom in there. You can see trans brake input. So there's the start of the pass. The first gear, the gear change to top gear, and the pass right through. So let's go up in the top end when we're making power, because we're looking at fuel today. We are 0.53. Don't forget this is alcohol, it's not methanol. Everyone's got a different opinion here. The general rule from the people the opinions that I trust and go by, and the guys that go fast, you should be shooting for about 0.61. Now things get a little bit conflicting because these are the temperatures of the cylinders, right? Individual cylinders. So you can see they're between 727 and 849, right? So this is where things get a little conflicting and it gets a little bit trickier to tune your car than what a lot of people think. So if this number gets anywhere near 1,000, it actually melts the tip off the spark plug. So what that means is the strap. So it actually melts this piece here off. And usually what happens is that goes onto the top of the piston, stays there, and then obviously wrecks your piston. And then usually around that happening is when you're going to start blowing head gaskets, torching heads, destroying engines. Touch wood. I've never actually torched an engine. I've never pushed a head gasket or torched a cylinder head or anything like that. So I stay on really far on the conservative side. So it's good to see the car running these sort of numbers without me leaning on it. So these numbers might seem like they're leaning on it a little bit, but a lot of that is because the turbo is too small and you're getting a lot of back pressure and a lot of temperature in there, so it's making that number high, and where they are in the pipe, the EGT sensor. So the importance of what I do, so right here it's telling us we're really rich. This is telling us we're right on the money sort of thing. These are on the richer side for what I would go for on this setup. A lot of people like to see numbers lower than this. And then you've got the spark plugs, right? So I go off three things. I go off the wideband, it's a quick reference. But say if we were to lean that tune for that pass down to 0.61, which is leaner, these numbers would be starting to get in the mid to high 900s for sure, which is too hot, way too hot. So you can see I've got a heap of different plugs here. So this one, there's a few different ways that you work on your tune-up, right? These heat marks up the plug. 1, 2, 3. We're just onto the third thread. You don't want to really go much further than that, in my opinion. You can see I don't have a timing mark because I run very conservative. As I said, I don't run a lot of timing. You can see the little burn mark on here and stuff. This gets a little hard to read because of the candy in the fuel, so it discolors it. But what you really want to look for in that is any speckling. If you see on here little black speckles, that's actually oil that when the engine detonates or starts to detonate, the oil splatters off the bore, and it actually splatters onto this, which is really hot, and it burns on there and it leaves a little black speckling mark. So that's a little sign that you're starting to get detonation. If you start to get silver speckles on there, you are detonating and you're actually taking little shards off the top of the piston and it's sticking to this, because this electrode here is the hottest part inside. So we go everywhere from, I'll show you, I've got a heap of plugs here on the bench. So this is a really safe tune, right? This plug you could pass as a brand new one just about. You got a slight discoloration here from the temperature, but all the cadmium is still on there. There's no heat mark up the side. That's a very, very safe tune on that one. This plug here, it's getting on the hotter side. This one here is probably better. So you can see we're going every bit of our 3 threads up the plug. That one's been reasonably hot, but you know, I'm still really comfortable with that plug. So for this, I'll try to find one that's a good example. You go from, here we go, perfect. So this tune here is really safe, right? When I say the cadmium, that's the shiny coating on the spark plug. When it's like that, it hasn't burnt off at all the cadmium's still there, so that's been very cold. Obviously heating the cylinder is what starts to hurt things. This one here, I've burnt off half of the cadmium and half is still there, so that's getting warmer. And then if we go to this one here, all the cadmium's gone, and I'll probably clean that one off, so there's not much of a heat mark on the side, but you can see that all the cadmium's definitely burn off that plug. So that's different heat ranges here display differently on the plug. So I go off the plug as a final decision. The plug is what decides what I will do, whether I'll put fuel in or pull fuel out. And I use the data logger on here as an indicator. So this is my first indicator because it's nice and simple. And then this more so, I'll show you what I do with the EGT. Because the readings are, this reading here is on the rich side of what those plugs would be showing for that pass. Those plugs I just showed you aren't for that actual pass. So just an example. I can't find the ones for that actual pass. But these numbers here are saying it's a lot hotter than what this number's saying. So the plugs will say something a little different, but the plug is what gets the final decision because it was actually there for the event. The computer data log might not be accurate. Like these might not be in the exact same spot in the pipe or something like that. So they can vary a little bit. But what I use the EGT, so we use the wideband, but we mostly use a plug. And then if we go in here, right, so this is our fuel map correction. So our base map is pretty basic, special methanol car, and then we're correcting the fuel as the boost comes in. I don't run any correction on vacuum side to drag car. The fuel side of things, as the boost comes up, we start to add more and more fuel. As the cylinder head becomes inefficient and the turbo becomes inefficient, we start to reduce the amount of air actually going in. Even though the RPM's increasing, we start to pull fuel back out. I don't run 40 pounds, so once it gets to 40, I start to dump fuel in just in case it ever has a malfunction and goes beyond 40 pounds, it'll just go rich. Now, here's our cylinder corrections. Now, cylinder 1, you can see I pull fuel out of it. So this, what I do here is try to equal out. These are our cylinders here, so you see all the lines. So some cylinders are hotter than others. Now, I'll show you, I've always had a little bit of an issue with cylinder number 3 always being the hottest, but the plug always looks the coldest. So there's obviously an issue with where the sensor is placed, so I don't worry too much about it. But tuning off the plug, I'm adding fuel in. So even though that cylinder is the hottest, it's got a lot of fuel getting dumped in by that. Like 5% is a lot of extra fuel. And hence probably why the plug that comes out of that cylinder looks so cold, but the data logger is telling me it's hot. So this is why you've got to make a educated decision between your plugs, your wideband, and your EGTs. So yeah, so we correct each cylinder individually, all little amounts, usually all in the top end where you start to see a discrepancy. And then some cylinders obviously don't need any correction. So these corrections just make all 8 cylinders. With V8s, the manifold, the way it works, there's always going to be corrections that need to be made. So also in fuel, I'll go through, yeah, I'll just try to find it. Give me 2 seconds. There should be... there should be an auxiliary fuel. I'll find it in a sec. It's been a while. Auxiliary fuel, here we go. So this is the 2 injectors that I showed you on the intake pipe. I don't add anything to them until 15 pounds, and then I add more and more fuel, and then 29 pounds we start to go rich and things start to get inefficient. I just taper it off there. We're not running too far past there anyway. So yeah, so that's your... This is the software that's controlling the fuel, and this is why you have all these loggers. So, you know, at the power that I'm making out of a little engine to push that heavy car to those sort of times, obviously you're asking a lot of it, but if you do it safely and you monitor the spark plugs and everything about it, you don't have problems. You don't break things. You hope most of the time. So there you go. Hopefully that's a bit of a good little insight to you guys into some of the fuel side of things. I'll keep going with spark and boosts and all that sort of stuff with tune, but as you can see, this video is starting to drag on. I'll get a bit carried away and I'll waffle on. So I'll break it down into piece by piece. I'll show you through the hardware of what we're controlling, and I'll show you through the software of what we're controlling, and I'll show you through the data log of how we're data logging it. So there you go. Enjoy.
Follow white rabbit. I'm taking potions, call me Alice.